Good morning. 53 after 9. How you guys doing? Type 1 if you're good. Type 1 if you're good. We're almost there. Almost half a week here, guys. Almost. Good morning, Brad. Good morning, Angela. Hi, Daddy on Twitch. 0.99. That'll work. Hey, Jonathan. Tim's on as well. All right. Good morning, guys. I hope you all are doing well. Welcome to SnowTALK on this, what is today? Wednesday, right? I'm wave meteorologist Brian Good. All right. We have a lot to cover today. Some of the data that I didn't get a chance to show you yesterday, I'm going to show you today. And we're going to discuss a very changeable long-term. It's very mixed emotions. But what I'm excited about is that other than locust, I really think I'm going to make everyone happy because every type of weather feature we can possibly think of, an element, is going to be showing up over the next 10 days. This would include winter weather. This will include beautiful sunny days and warm sunny days. And this will include thunderstorms and maybe something we'll have to watch down the road. So we're at that time of the year. We're going to get this whole potpourri of weather events. And this is the setup that looks like it's going to feature it. So I'm going to walk you through it. Each little step, we'll do it in a chronological order here, how this will trend. And then we'll get to some of your questions. As you guys know, you can comment on the social media side, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, of course. Got some folks on there that love watching the IRL streams on Twitch. We're on there and on YouTube. Okay. No winter. Everyone's already saying that. All right. We ain't gotten there yet. Hold on. All right. Let's get into the snowboard, which is going to actually relax a bit. Not going to be as dramatic into the coming days in the longer term for at least a bit anyway. I do have the mix in tomorrow, but tomorrow morning, boy, I tell you, the data on tomorrow is a little wonky, but we'll get into that for your Thursday. Late Sunday into Monday, I'm going to say brief snow mix for most of you watching, but our northern counties may get close. It's going to be close to winter storm levels for parts of the Ohio Valley. So that one needs some loving. So we'll talk about that as well coming up. Right now, hey, not a bad setup, right? We're getting some breaks in the clouds, and we're going to get a lot of sun here today, but we'll get little breaks like you're seeing there in New Albany. And it'll be breezy, not as strong of a wind as really yesterday. Yesterday wasn't too wild, roughly around 30 miles per hour. But today, not as strong of a gust, but it will be breezy. But temperatures are on their way up. We didn't really drop. We actually rose most of the night. So we're setting right now to almost 50 here in Louisville, 48. We're going to get into the mid-50s this afternoon, some maybe even upper 50s. So not a bad setup at all for this time of the year and for a Wednesday. A little bit above normal, actually. Normal is roughly 50, 51 for this time of the year. So, and that increases rapidly in the month of March, which is why we consider March meteorological spring, March 1st, versus the astronomical, which is the 20th, I believe, this year of March is first day of spring technically. But meteorologically, we say that on the first day of March because the average highs increase dramatically on a steady climb through the month. We'll be into the average high in the 60s, approaching 70 by the end of it. So pretty wild. All right. So right now we've got a fairly quiet setup for a moment. We're getting a nice little break here. We will watch precipitation that is really having a tough time reaching the ground. The air is quite dry. It is quite dry. So it's having a tough time falling. So that's the reason why the data for tonight and early tomorrow is struggling, because it doesn't know how much the next little wave is going to work with here. If it's going to kick up enough rain, and in some areas where that snow chance does exist tomorrow, will you even have moisture to even have snow? So a good question. So the dry air is going to be one thing we'll watch and see how much the dew points can try to rise, because right now they're in the 20s. So it is quite dry. Big gap between the temperature and the dew point right now. So that will buy some time. But in general, we will cloud back up more so this afternoon, later in the day, towards sunset. And then we'll start to watch the radar for a few light rain showers, especially across areas of central and southern Kentucky, a little more prone to spotty showers this evening. Most of you will have your rain tomorrow morning. Okay, so the wave in question is back here to the west. This will be a little wave that will try to enhance some of the shower activity as it moves across Kentucky this afternoon. I think the radar is going to look a little more impressive compared to the reality, but that's the way it's looking. And then another wave behind it will be the one that arrives here on Thursday for tomorrow. Okay, so let's walk you through it. We'll go hour by hour. Pay attention to where you're at here on Futurecast. I'm using the HER here because the graph I showed you yesterday, in-house model, was really wild, right, with the moderate rainfall. Yesterday afternoon, it came in with an update and had basically zero. It just wiped it out. Nothing really happened. The HER model is still holding on, and so have other few model runs, the GFS and even the Euro, kind of do point that some moisture will gather here tomorrow morning. So I think the graph now is too extreme on the other end, too dry. But I do think some shower activity, yes. But heavy rainfall is looking very doubtful, especially even our southern counties. You may escape that risk. So we'll walk you through it here. Here we go, 8 o'clock tonight. Again, some spotty showers. Anywhere you see really the darker green and yellow, that's the best chance to get anything reaching the ground. It's going to be where those bands show up. This stuff, I don't know if it's going to have a chance to reach the ground. It may not, but it will cloud over. Okay, it moves along. We get into overnight. We're starting to see a bit of a temperature drop, just enough here into Indiana, around 71 near the capital and Lexington. That zone right through here and points north, that's the area to watch where if you get a heavy enough shower, a heavy enough rain shower to move into that environment, it can quickly become either sleet or in some cases, some bigger wet snowflakes may mix in. Don't think this is going to have much of an issue on accumulating here. The ground's still relatively warm. And I don't know if the rate's going to be long enough and heavy enough to overcome that. So, but it may allow for the snowflake to survive past the tree line so you can see it. So that's the area to watch. I really don't know if Louisville's going to be able to do that. It usually takes even a heavier rate for Louisville just because of the heat down effect. But I still think it's going to be a north and northeast side there, or wave country. That's a good spot. If we're going to get any snow on this, it's the area to watch. So here's the HER model. Let me advance this. Now, this will be about the time when you're all heading out for work and school in the morning. So it's not something you have to get up for early. As you're getting ready in the morning, that would be the chance. And it's painting mainly the blue there into Madison, Indiana, and Carrollton, Cincinnati. A little burst of wet snow. Now around Cincinnati, yeah, it could stick to the grassy areas, car tops, rooftops briefly, and then it'll melt away within minutes. As soon as it stops, it's gone. But notice what the model is doing here. Hi, Tawana. How you doing?
I have to tell you look good. I love the haircut.
Oh,
you look good.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Sorry,
You should come by more often, Tawana.
Sure.
Yeah. Compliment City. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Doing all right? You want to say hi to everybody? Here, let's see if we put a camera up here.
Oh,
hold on a second. Say hi, everybody. Wow, I'm so much taller. I like that dress. That's really nice. Good colors. It matches the snow background very well.
Yeah, it matches you too.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I try to match SnowTALK as much as I can.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop flirting now. I got work.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, get to it. Sorry about that. She's always coming by all the time. I always tell her, like, Tawana, I got stuff to do. But she complimented me, so she can come by. It's fine. Okay. So anyway, chance for some of that mix where you get some of those heavier showers into Indiana and around 71. See that pink? But it's all rate based. If it's not there, if that rate is not there, and it's a light rain, it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. So anyway, I don't want to play this more than I already have. So minor issue overall. It moves in, and you know what? By midday into the afternoon tomorrow, we actually get into a setup where we go partly sunny. So it'll be just a memory that we even had rain tomorrow morning. So it is a very brief window. It's all about the rush hour tomorrow. That's it. Then after that, I think we're in good shape for the rest of the day. And then we get to the good news. Hope you're ready for a really nice setup as we approach the weekend. Now, the problem we got here for the weekend in general is this boundary right here, this cold Arctic front that is into the Midwest, upper Midwest. It is going to sink south. Now, because it is far away and we get a decent amount of sunshine and a good south flow here into Friday, it's looking more now like Friday is going to be the warmer day than Saturday will be. But they'll be closely matched. But I think Friday may overachieve mid-60s. So Friday's looking good. The problem with Saturday is going to be just the idea this front is going to be sinking down. It's going to be compressing down into the Ohio Valley. You can still get 60s just south of that. But boy, if you're in Indiana, and as soon as you go up 65, it drops quick, and you'll begin to cloud up to later in the day on Saturday. So not as excited about Saturday afternoon anyway, late afternoon after 2 or 3 o'clock. I don't know if we're going to hold on to the sun in mid 60s. We may. It all depends on the speed of that. We got a couple of days to fine tune it, but that's kind of the issue there for the warm. Which day you want to have a lot of sunshine and warmth. Friday is trending that way more than Saturday is. I hope that makes sense. So anyway, but because this boundary sinks down, this is where things get a little more interesting as we head into your Sunday night. So as it sinks down to the south, we get a little bit of light rain right in advance of it for sunrise Sunday. Some of this may not reach the ground, but it's possible a few light rain showers may mix in there into early on Sunday morning. But that's a separate piece. This is not part of the main show. That's still back here to the west. You see the lightning and thunder developing in Texas. Here comes the energy diving down. And now the signal is growing to develop a snow event for the Ohio Valley. And this is becoming a heavier precipitation event. So now it's getting a little more attention. It'll have heavier rain on the southern side, and it'll have a band of decent accumulating snow for Sunday night and early Monday, especially. Right now, I will say I-70 looks to be the sweet spot. So Indianapolis, Dayton, Ohio area, toward even Columbus, maybe Cincinnati, you could get close to winter storm level on amounts, but I think this may be more of a winter weather advisory because the amounts probably would be a little lower given the warmer ground and the wet snow, not a very low ratio that it'll have. So, downplaying a little bit on the amounts that we're seeing in some of the data. So I think it'd be a little bit cut. But still, having said that, they could get winter weather advisories out of this for Indiana and Ohio. And yeah, some of our counties into southern Indiana and around Louisville and 71. Boy, it's going to be close. It's going to be so close to us. So it does bear watching because obviously the trend on this has been to get stronger and to dig a little more. So could this be one of those sneaky snowstorms we always talk about that you don't see until you get close? Maybe. Right now, it's Indiana. It's a sweet spot. Indianapolis in particular. So we'll watch and see. Watch and see. But Sunday night, Monday is a period to watch. But that's it. After that, I think we're done for a while. We get into a warmer flow that'll take over, and we get into rain and some thunder and quite the warm surge that will begin to develop across the eastern United States. And this is where we run into issues here because we're going to get into a repeating pattern. Low pressure is going to keep diving in the southern Rockies, move into the Midwest, and track north. This will be the track for the next 2 weeks at least. It'd be one system after another. It's going to track in that fashion. Well, I tell you what, if you are familiar with anything with our weather patterns and meteorology, you know that's a track that features three issues. Warm weather, really warm. Thunderstorms, so severe potential is going to go up, and very heavy rainfall. And flooding is going to be a worry because this is going to repeat so many times that if we are in the line of fire with every single one of these systems rolling in, we're going to be dealing with constant rounds of heavy rain, showers, and thunderstorms starting at the end of next week into that weekend. Same weekend, by the way, we set our clocks ahead. Yeah, get ready for that. That's only 2 weekends away. We set our clocks ahead for daylight saving time. So that flow will have to be watched for all those counterparts. Now, at the moment, if we see such a repeating pattern, I'm leaning more toward the heavy rain and flooding concern more than severe weather will be our worry, but still, it's not a good track for either one. But it's certainly not a cold track and certainly not a wintry one. So if you want warmer weather, it's coming. And if you want warm and sunshine, it'll be toward this week on Friday and part of Saturday. Otherwise, yeah, you may get a couple bonus days here where we may have a break in between one of these little waves and you get some sunshine. Yeah, maybe. But bet on more of an active pattern. Okay. So let me rewind just a bit and go into the snow side. Here is the matrix from the Euro. Here is the wave for tomorrow morning. It hints at, a couple little spots could get a coating, but I think that's a little bit, again, I would downplay a little bit on some of these numbers compared to what you see. So that it's a minor issue. Here is Sunday night. Now, this is filling in, right? We're getting more ensembles that are filling in. Now, they're not overly excited on amounts. They're very, very light here, but this is Louisville. Again, I think this is an Indianapolis show as of right now, but we'll need to watch it because confidence at least has increased, and it's stacking up perfectly over Sunday night and Monday for it to be much more of a burst of snow for part of the area for Sunday night and Monday. So that needs to be watched. Now, here's the issue that as we evolve into March, this is looking at the stratospheric type of setup for the Northern Hemisphere. And the red line, anytime you have a dip, it's the best way to look at this. When you dip down toward this line right here, see this dotted blue line? All right. Easy way to explain it here is the wind relaxes to allow the polar vortex to become a problem. This is what we call the stratospheric warming event. You've heard that term before. We've had it earlier in the season, way early. At the very end of November, see the red line touched the blue line and went below it. That was a full-on stratospheric warming. One of the earliest on record, by the way. What happened after that happened in late November? We got the snow in December. Remember that. December 2nd through the second week, I believe, of December, we had a couple of decent snow events, about 4 to 10 inches altogether between the both of them, came across the area. So that is what led to the cold pattern into December. We have had cold weather since, don't get me wrong, but the stratosphere has not exactly been to the full-on, warming event where you get a really cold blast of air. But look what it's doing. The green line is the prediction. It is absolutely tanking it all the way into the early parts of March, maybe mid-March. It drops like a rock. So another stratospheric warming event. I tell you what, guys, you don't get two of these like that intense in a season. It's pretty rare. Pretty rare. Usually goes several years before you see that. So this is going to be significant if this holds. Now, it tried to do this earlier in the season, a couple of weeks ago, and it relaxed. It didn't make it. But the red line, again, is what has been measured. So it's going down. So, yeah, could be wild. There's a delay. So that's why we're thinking later March period into early April. That is when I'm getting an idea, if you saw my post last night, about colder. Now, it will be late March and April, so we will have a higher sun angle. So if this were happening in December into January, I'd be a little worried that this is going to be really bad, very, very cold, brutally cold. But we will have a higher sun angle, so it could still get cold here, but in relative sense of the season, not anything too extreme. I'm not talking about below zero here, but it would be cold enough to allow wintry weather. And I'm a little more concerned too at that point in the season, everything's starting to grow. We're getting back to the growing season, right? So everything begins to leaf out, or at least the tulips are coming up, and you get the trees not exactly leafing out yet. Usually it's a little more toward late April and May, but they will try anyway. Some plants will, and this is not a good thing if we get back below into the deep freeze here, at least below freezing with some wintry weather. You really would want snow at that point to be an insulator to help out. But that's why we're going with the colder setup for late March. I just don't know to what level or wintry weather. I'm just speaking big picture. I'm not getting into the weeds on specific systems or anything. I'm just giving a generalization. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so looking at the long range Euro. Now, this is the matrix, not for snow. Don't get too excited. This is the matrix for rain. Look what it's doing. It's really ramping up the potential for very heavy rainfall. And there are some signs that parts of the Ohio Valley, with all these systems rolling through the next few weeks, could end up with more than a foot of rain in the area, maybe even more. So, and we just don't know yet if it's going to be more of a Missouri problem or is it an Indiana, Kentucky problem? We don't know yet. But somewhere in the mid-Mississippi Valley and the Ohio Valley, that's the area to watch. It just depends on how the systems repeat over and over. But again, I'm concerned about the flooding signal that may lead us into April too, if we get colder weather and snow on top of all that. I know you're going to be thinking, please no, let the Ohio River not go high again, but we'll see. We'll see. What about snow? Let's break that down. Well, a couple things on that. This is showing, again, these are all the different ensemble members for long range. The first little wave, this is the Sunday night wave here. So that's that signal. And then there's really, ignore all this. This is the warm period. And then the signal goes back up again. And this is around March 20th, first day of spring. Into early April, there is a signal that kicks in for snow. So that's where, again, I think it gets a little more exciting. So SnowTALK, probably we'll take a break after we get past Sunday night, Monday. We'll go back to StormTalk again for a bit for the blogs, and then we'll switch back over later. That's my gut feeling on how this is going to play out. Let me show you the 10-day and get to your questions. There we go, 50s, and then we jump into the 60s. Nice setup. approaching the weekend, and then we get into that wintry potential Sunday night, Monday worth watching. We'll keep an eye on it, and then we begin to climb after that. Back in the 60s with scattered showers at least later next week, but not washout scenarios yet. That'll be a little more. I think March 8th is standing out to me for our first chance at severe weather. Is March 8th. That'll be a Sunday, the day that the clocks go forward. So that's what I'm watching right now. Okay. Any questions I can get for you guys? I'm sure you had a lot. Let me see. Something happened with the comments. What happened? Somebody saying something they shouldn't be. Let me know. Potential for flooding increases. Yeah. That's the way we're looking at it. Don't like the way it's trending. I hope they don't cancel Thunder. That's going to be a common theme. I know everyone's going to ask that. I don't know. I'm sure they're looking at it too, but that was a pretty extreme level. And it started in February for the flooding last year. This one's going to be a little bit more delayed. So the only good news is that Ohio is a late reaction river. So let's hope that the heavier rain does not fall here, but somebody will get it. So if we don't get it, it'll be Missouri. So either way, it's probably going to be a mess somewhere in the region. I don't want anybody to get it. I despise flooding more than anything. So it's awful. It's one of the worst things, and it's our biggest killer in Kentucky. Not tornadoes. It's flooding in Kentucky, and we have such a karst limestone environment too. We have some very high terrain into parts of eastern Kentucky, so we get a lot of big events on flash flooding here. So it's a huge issue that we have, right? So let's hope that it's not as bad as what it looks now in the data, but I'm just giving y'all a heads up and see how it goes. Hey, Carrie. Our rainfall has been lower than average. Yes. Well, not dramatically, but it's been down a bit the last few weeks anyway. But it doesn't matter. It always balances out. This time of year, it's rare to get into a drought in the spring. Rare. You usually get into a severe weather heavy rain pattern. Now they're in the drought to the west of us, but this could end it. And that, again, could be a big player, as I mentioned yesterday, on how severe weather will play out for the later of the season, more into May. May probably will kick back up in severe weather again. If we get into an El Nino setup this summer, we may see the severe weather calm down, but it will mean hot. It will get hot this summer if that's the case. And then I do worry about drought later in the summer if we flip the pattern, but we'll see. Water goes where it wants. Pretty scary. It does. Water is an incredible force. It is really, people underestimate it all the time, but it does more damage. Water will always find a way to get somewhere. As you guys know, whether it's a leak in your house or river flooding, water finds a way. And it's a big problem. But anyway, we'll worry about that later. Don't worry about that right now. That's our job. Don't worry about that and keep you updated. We got enough on our plate, but as always on the blog here, we always discuss long term. How will the winds be on Saturday? Not too bad, Dan. They'll start to become a little breezy later in the day when the front slides down, but nothing dramatic. Nothing I'm too worried about. But it'll be more of a west flow coming in, almost due west, actually, because the front will be sinking down, coming in from Indianapolis. I'm hoping it's delayed enough to where we can try to keep Saturday pretty and warm, but it will be sinking southbound. So I think Sunday's off the table for sure, but at least we get Friday. So we're going to get a sunny, warm day coming. So it's just a matter of which of the two. And either one, I mean, some of you may have off on Friday. I don't know. But either way, at least it's the end of the week and a Saturday that we're talking about for the pretty weather. We deserve that. We need a break. We need some nice, beautiful weather. Everyone's getting sick everywhere, being cooped up in their homes. Let's see. Someone had a question, but I forgot. The winds were strong last night. We had gusts around 30 out last night here in Louisville, but it kept us up. It kept us up on temperature. Actually, we rose. Hey, Todd, we'll cross that bridge when it's flooded over, right? Yeah. Very true, Todd. Very true. But you're about to go to the Bahamas, Todd. You ain't worried about us. You got your vacation on your mind. Jealous. Lows are pretty chilly. Yeah, they are. They may come up later next week, but for the early week period especially, that's the reason why snow gets involved. Snow gets involved. Don't like that wind with disc off. Yeah, good point, Dan. We'll fine-tune that, and I'll try to rehash that tomorrow. Remind me, and I'll show you some of the wind speeds for tomorrow. Fair enough? Hey, Blue, my cats will love the open windows. Well, I'm jealous of that for two reasons. One, I cannot have a cat because I'm highly allergic to cats. And two, I have horrible allergies, so I can't open my window. So I'm jealous of both, that you can have both. But yes, it's that time of the year. And you can do it before the bugs show up, right? So, yeah. What do they call it? House burping? Everyone go burp your house for this weekend. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. Well, it's a lot to cover, right? And it's a very wild 10-day. Margin of error is certainly there, so keep that in mind. So with all these changes and flipping around back and forth, there will be adjustments to this 10-day. So this is not a lock, but I do think this is a fair storyline that we're going to be facing over the next 10 days. So we'll keep you posted. But for snow lovers, Sunday night and Monday is the only thing to feed you for a while until we see the stratospheric warming set up and how that will play out for later into the month of March. All right, everyone, you all take care, behave yourselves. I will see you coming up on the flip side at 11 a.m.? Oh, my goodness. That's in 40 more minutes.